James at 16 will not be presented this evening, but will return next week at its regular time. Stay tuned now for a special 2-hour What Really Happened to the Class of 65.
Word Balloon is brought to you by the League of Word Balloon Listeners.
That's, me kind of doing a very light take on the version of Batman I was raised by, which is sort of post Neil Adams take, which he was doing the year I was born. Neil Adams was redefining the character kind of in the cracks and corners of DC when he was first a cover artist on a lot of the Batman books in the late 60s, and then once they gave him sort of the run of the place, his look he kind of exaggerated even more with the lighting and the grandeur, the way he would exaggerate the figure form, the length of the ears, the length of the cape. A lot of it was just sort of aesthetics. He wasn't really changing the costume per se. I tried to illustrate what Adams did with a sense of maybe somewhat photo exacting kind of take on it, while also kind of avoiding some of the comic book tropes of the glowing white eyes, which I was always having a problem with as a kid, thinking about like how the mask is pretty much on his face like it's makeup. Like it's as close to the skin as you can get the way it was drawn by everybody, Adams included. And if that's the case, there's no room to hide the eyelashes for the human being wearing this mask. So basically just his natural eyes showing, but you can hide that in shadow.
Welcome back, everybody. Time again for another Trek Watch. We're going to be talking about, in a moment, the latest Lower Decks episode. But I really do want to start with the latest Very Short Treks because not a lot of good things to say about it. Franco is here. Mitch is here. Wayne is here. We got the whole cast. Worst Contact, aptly named. And I was very careful. I apologize to the three of you and also to the viewers and listeners that we have to talk about this not funny, very disgusting Trek Watch or short Trek. What can I say? I mean, the positive, it was cool that it was Next Generation. It was cool that Gates McFadden and Jonathan Frakes did it. I can't believe they did. And also, who the hell is at Paramount saying that, oh, yeah, good idea, run with that? I don't know. We'll show images, but yeah, what'd you guys think of the Worst Contact, Very Short Trek?
I think it was the worst one we've seen. I think it was the worst of everything.
I'd rather watch Discovery over and over on an endless loop.
I liked it. No, seriously, I look at these things. Okay. No, I look at it like a Mad magazine, like the old-fashioned Mad magazines from the 70s, and you would have a parody, and then sometimes you'd have a gross out, a Don Martin booger oriented, comic strip sometimes. And I just look at it as fluff. And I think they're trying to get for a young teenage audience, because I could see a 13-year-old version of me laughing his ass off of this because it's like fart shit, piss jokes, tit jokes, it's not jokes. It's one of these things. You're immature. You would laugh at it. And it's not meant for 50, 60-year-old guys, but it's meant for a teenage kid. It probably, and you were talking about YouTube, and I bet you right now, I haven't looked at the number, but I bet you it has over 200,000 views in a week or something, maybe even more than that. So, and it's 3 minutes, it's short attention span. I think they're just trying to get a young kid audience. I have no idea who else they're making this for. I mean, they're not making it for you and me. That's for sure. But I
respectfully disagree.
All right.
You brought up those Mad magazines where Don Martin would make all those disgusting things, jokes and stuff like that. Those were funny. This was not funny.
Well, they were funny when you were a kid.
No, it's funny now. It's funny when I was a kid.
Yeah.
That was what I watched was not funny. It was gross. It was like and we talked about it before we came on about how you said fart and snot jokes
Yeah,
aren't funny,
yeah.
Johnny. I disagree. I think in context and done right, they're funny.
That's my point. Yes. I don't come to Star Trek for that kind of humor. You're right. In Mad Magazine, it absolutely was fair game, but that's where we came. And absolutely, Mitch or Wayne, pardon me. Let me just finish my thought. Yeah, it's part of the larger picture that they play at Star Trek. And I know, hey, they made it very clear this isn't canon. This is and I want to show images as well. I'll show them after Wayne has his say. But yeah, man, no. So I hear what you're saying, Mitch. But yeah, it's not what I come to Star Trek for. You're absolutely right. That is likely what they're going for. But I'm disappointed that unlike in Lower Decks, where they can find humor within Star Trek to make fun of, that they need to resort to the fart joke the previous week and the really gross snot. Here's the one image I'm going to show.
Yeah.
There it is. A little bug right there. Ew. I mean, I didn't want to do the finger in the nose because it's a little too. I remember in remember in Willy Wonka, spitting's a bad habit. I forgive him. I know Wayne hasn't spoken yet. I would like Wayne to speak. Has a chance to talk.
I don't know if you guys remember Ren and Stimpy, but they do the cutaway scenes that was just the painted images that were really gross.
Mm-hmm.
Now that was kind of funny in that it was the cutaway to the really gross and then cut back. But this was just constant, and I for me it wasn't funny. And like, if you see my movie collection of my crappy horror movies, which are really disgusting at times, those were not. I found those nothing compared to this little 3-minute thing. It just, for whatever reason, it just didn't click with me, and I just thought it was. Ren and Stimpy did it a lot better with the cutaway scenes.
They could have stopped right when the guy put his hand out and you saw the booger on it, and that could have been enough. Because it would have been one of those subtle things, like, you had a dinner party or something and somebody's got something on their tooth and you don't know, or they got a booger hanging out your nose and you're kind of like, well, what do I do? And this is such a monumentous occasion where they're making the first contact. It's like, oh shit. And you could even have like an inner monologue with Riker going, do I shake his hand? What do I do? Do I say something to him? Do I insult him? That could have been funny as it is, but they went way, it's like a live sketch. Sometimes it's like the concept is funny, but they don't stop and they go way overboard and you're like, now it's not so funny anymore. But the idea is kind of amusing, but they just went fucking nuts with it. With the place was made of boogers and then they were fish heads and blowing snot rockets. Then it was.
I'll give you that the concept was an idea that could have been funny. But they just, like you said, they just way overdid it.
Yeah, I completely agree. Wow. Okay. Wayne tells us he looked online, the YouTube numbers, 124,000.
Wow. See, I thought it'd been more.
Well, and I was really curious what the current Star Trek reviewers would have to say about it. And for the most part, they didn't like it. Jesse Gender is like, hey, I like gross humor. But then they said, they went too far. Wasn't it weird that Beverly called Will Riker Bill?
Bill. Yeah.
It's like, again, maybe to show that, hey, this is again, and she's calling him Bill. It's just, it just smacks the whole thing. And I like Mitch's idea of, having, a piece of spinach in your teeth or a bug hanging from your nose. But to go that far, it just seems like the people that are writing these things, again, they're playing at Star Trek. They really don't understand it. And the bill really was just like, what the hell was that?
It's funny. The reason why I think I enjoyed it more than you guys did is years ago on Star Trek, and it might have been a toy tie-in, but there was a contest to come up with an alien. And I'm talking like early 90s. I like come up with a design, an art thing. And I made a giant mucus monster that kind of looked like that black oil thing that killed Tasha Yar. And it was just a big freaking booger. And I thought that was hysterical. And that's why when I saw this, I'm like, oh my God, that's the thing I thought of 30 years ago was all snot, but it wasn't, they didn't decorate their town with it. It was just a giant thing. And I remember thinking, what would they do if they met a giant, like it was like the shit monster in Dogma. You know, like what if you land on a planet and there's this big blob of crap, and you're like, the fuck? Do I shake that thing's hand, or do I get wash it, or because not everything is going to look like a human. It's going to look like fucked up. So
well,
I
and
don't know.
some critics were saying and trying to, I don't know, meet him halfway and go, Riker and the Enterprise and Starfleet in general would likely find a more delicate way. And again, this is extreme humor. I understand, but that's the thing. They went to the lengths. So like, they probably would accept these people on their terms, and even with the snot and everything, the reviews were cracking me up because it's like, again, there's an Australian guy that I mentioned, I think in the previous week, where it's like, well, I think what they were trying to say about the joke, and it's like, if you need to explain the joke, I think you failed. But what are you going to do? But yeah.
Yeah, but I just think if you take it out of its what do you call it? The context. It's not in canon. It's not in canon, right?
Right.
So even if you play it for that and you do a Mad Magazine style type of humor, do the Mad Magazine type of humor. Those were funny. Those were well written. This was just like, oh, hey, let's just do this, and then just like stretch it out for the 3 minutes, and it just was a really, really, really bad Saturday Night Live sketch.
Yeah.
Oh.
What are you gonna do? All right. Well, then there you go. That was more.
We've got 2 more of these. I read that there's going to be 5 altogether. So I wonder who's next on the list, because they've done Next Gen, they've done Classic Trek. What was the other one they did? I can't remember. Strange New Worlds.
Right.
One. So I guess we're due for Deep Space Nine and a Voyager one, maybe.
Well, I heard that Connor Trenier from Enterprise is doing one, so maybe we'll have the Enterprise era. I liked seeing the TNG ship, and I'm glad it was a T. I mean, again, bare minimum, I'm glad it was a TNG thing. But yeah, again, what are you going to do? And you're right, Mitch. I mean, they're not for us, but it bums me out because I think that generation, and forgive me for being so granular, but it's like, oh, it's okay to treat Star Trek like a joke, and not that I'm treating it like, brain surgery or anything like that. But there's an article later I'm going to talk about that I was telling Wayne off the air. But yeah, it's like, how about like letting people appreciate Star Trek for what it was and what created Peabody Award-winning things and things like that. I guess Wayne says the next episode is holograms all the way down.
All the way down.
So I don't know what that means.
Well, remember the Robot Chicken and that stuff?
Yeah.
Maybe they did a lot of gross out humor.
But that's what's funny.
No, but Lucas was in the midst of, before he sold off Star Wars to Disney, he did 50-something episodes with the Robot Chicken guys that never got aired, and it was crazy, Family Guy, Seth MacFarlane type of stuff, and it was just out there with Star Wars characters. But once Disney got a hold of it, they shut that thing down, because I think it was kind of like this. It was really gross out, over the top humor, and they were like, no, we're not gonna jeopardize the franchise like that. See, Disney pulled back, where Paramount's like, what the hell, go for it. I mean, what do we got to lose?
But Robot Chicken at least was always, action figures that were stop motion animated. And I remember not a specific Star Wars one that was gross, but I do know they had like somebody a sci-fi template where a guy threw up in his mask. And it all looked like bubble gum of all different colors inside the dome and everything. And it's like, okay, again, I accept it on those terms. And if somebody else were to do this kind of gross out thing, but the difference, obviously, and I know Lucas approved Robot Chicken, but the difference is, if Disney's like, hey, look what we made. And it again shows that the keepers of Star Trek don't understand what made it great.
But even taking that argument a little bit further, Family Guy did those Star Wars parodies, which were funny.
Yeah.
And they poked fun at everything in Star Wars, so it worked. This, I don't know what this is.
I don't know.
None of them have been really funny.
One of the funniest gag in the Family Guy Star Wars is when they're trying to get the couch onto the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
Because how many people have tried to move furniture and to get it through a doorway?
Yeah. I like they were driving. Like, I'm not leaving that couch. I remember that.
Yeah.
I was a bit. I can still remember that.
Yeah, no, those 3 episodes are fantastic. Hi, Mom. Yeah, we won. Yeah. All right. Just all that stuff.
It's kind of like the dad trying to be hip to his teenage kids. Like, hey, I'm still funny. I'm still rocking. So it's kind of like the what do the kids call me? What do you call the old person trying to act young?
Loser?
No, there's that too.
Oh,
No,
I thought you were asking what they called you. I'm sorry.
Shut up. It's when the guy wears the hipster. It's the hipster trying to be cool.
Oh, with the soul patch.
Yes, with the little hat and the thing like, hey, buddy, I'm grooving.
Hello, fellow kids. Yeah.
Hey, babies. Maybe that's who's writing this stuff, and I have no idea why they called Riker Bill. If you see Frakes, ask him because he did the voice. I was thinking, are they doing this during the strike and they need the money? That's what I was thinking. Like maybe they're like, yeah, I'll take the check.
Well, usually animation is the voice work is done before the animation. So this would be
okay.
Well, and also Frakes was they recorded a panel. Mitch, I'm so bummed.
I know.
They recorded a panel from one of the GalaxyCon shows, and I was shocked. Frakes was talking Star Trek, and I'm like, what happened to those rules? Don't understand.
I saw a panel just today from Dragon Con that had the Strange New Worlds people on it. It had Captain Pike and Spock. They were talking about their influences and how they got into acting, and he talked about making berry bowls in his ceramic studio and stuff. They didn't talk about Star Trek, so that's why I don't get what's going on either, because they played by the rules. They had the actors. They talked about everything but studio projects, and now you're telling me Frakes was like, fuck it, I don't care.
Listen to the latest Inglorious Trexperts that they dropped on last Thursday, and it was very entertaining and also kind of eye-opening. Oh, and a quick aside, non-Trek, the Orville came up because Frakes directed a couple episodes, and Frakes said that McFarlane is talking to Fox about a season 4, which surprised me.
Just to go back to Frakes, but Frakes was like that in Vegas too with Terry Metalis when they were both on stage. When they had all the TNG people, they had no problems talking about Star Trek and about the future of Star Trek.
Well, we try to respect the wishes of the union. I don't want to piss anybody off, and of course, that's what we did. So
yeah. Oh well, that's all right. And again, good news. The writers are apparently reaching.
Yeah, what is the deal with that? The writers are coming to a conclusion, but does that mean the union's solidarity? They're going to go right back to work? Because now I hear the voice actors for video games are about to strike, which is a whole other thing. I'm like, what is this? Everyone's lining up right now. So
I don't know. I know that obviously the AMTP, which I believe is the anagram for the studios, were obviously directly negotiating with the writers, not negotiating yet with the actors. And then, yeah, like you said, Mitch, I had heard too that the video game actors are now on strike. I got the email blast in my SAG email and stuff. I don't know. We'll see. I spoke to Chris Yost last week before the agreement, and Warren Drummond, my buddy, who's a Hollywood storyboard artist. But yeah, I don't know. I'll find out the next time I talk to. Maybe Rodney Barnes will know more. Rodney's going to come on and talk about stuff. But yeah. Well, should we move on to Lower Decks?
I think so.
Yeah. It was kind of their bridesmaids episode, which I like. I love Tendi and her Orion backstory. I love that last episode on DS9 from last year, where she finally had to break down. Yes, I am a pirate, and I know how to be a pirate. And I thought that it was very, counter to what we normally get from. Isn't this great? She's like the flounder of Strange New World or Lower Decks. Boy, is this great! But I liked it. I like the A story. I thought, and as God, even Mariner was kind of, despite the hooded eyes there, was kind of toned down and I don't know a lot about Orion, so this is your trip, Tendi. And I'm still loving Taval or whatever her name, or I forget what her name is, the Vulcan.
The
I think.
Vulcan.
Yeah, they're fun. No, it's cute, and I loved everything about it. I loved her getting challenged by her rival, and the game with the scorpions and the force fields and stuff. I really really enjoyed all of that.
That reminded me of Never Say Never Again,
Mhm.
the war games with Bond against
Klaus von Maurice Binder.
Bulow. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
It was hilarious because it's the same thing. Where
Yeah, I liked it a lot, actually. I
Mhm.
liked the A story much more than the B story, but the B story, I liked parts of it. I liked that they dressed up as, Mark Twain,
Yeah.
and then they were forbidden from doing that, and then they went as Mozart or whatever, which I thought was funny. The the alien with the bonsai thing was, I just thought that was
Yeah.
just like kind of, oh, let's find an ending to this type of thing.
Yeah,
But overall, I really enjoyed the whole episode. Except for the minor pick with the alien and stuff like that. Again, we got that tease of the ship destroying the other ship, and like, what is this? And really, this is how you're going to string us along for the entire season,
Mhm.
type thing. But I was shocked at how much I liked this episode.
like the episode where we saw all the different lower decks of all the different alien races. I really like that opening. I'm okay with them teasing this, and I'm
Mhm.
sure the payoff will come in the final episode or maybe the final two episodes. I like it, and again, I like the humor in there. I didn't like a lot of the Boimler Rutherford storyline from this episode. I liked the Mark Twain thing was cute, and I even liked when they put the bad guy in Captain Freeman in the
Right.
Mark Twain outfits. But I just thought the initial conflict between Boimler and Rutherford, it's like, I think you're pitching underhand. Hey, it's my bonsai tree. No, it's mine. Oh, yeah. That's like,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, but I thought it was cute and clever. Unlike a lot of the episodes from this, but I enjoyed it very much.
Yeah,
Thank you, Wayne.
sorry.
Talin is that Vulcan. Excuse me. Go on.
Yeah, I agree with Franco. Actually, I like this episode, the A and the B plot. It was just, I could see if I had a roommate having issues with the roommate over
Sure.
something.
Just
But yeah,
get
no,
the-
it just, I don't know. I like the fact that they were separated and that they were able to tell different stories. And I love that they expanded upon the Orion aspect of it, especially with Tendi. It was really good to find out that she was the prime, that she was trained to be the lead assassin for her family. And the other thing that's interesting was that just like the Vulcans, the Orion are a matriarchy versus a patriarchy, which I don't think we really got that in the original series.
You're right. Well, certainly not in the original series.
Not
a
in
little
the
bit in Enterprise.
Yeah,
a little
but
bit.
But it's because Vulcans is a matriarch society, and so is the Orions. So it's actually cool. It was an interesting take on it.
It did make sense to further the Orions along with their pheromones controlling men, the way that it was really expanded in Enterprise. So I liked all that. I agree. That was really good, very clever. Yeah, but yeah, and again, forgive me for dwelling, but yeah, I agree that in a general sense, of course, roommates are going to fight. It's so inconsistent where they'll do really, really clever stuff. And then they'll do, all right, well, we just got to further the plot. This isn't great, but we're running with it. And it's like, and especially, I really should take like a head count of how many writers are on Lower Decks. That's put Wayne into action with that. But yeah, it's like, because really, it's like, you guys and women can't come up with funnier stuff. And again, love the Orion tease with the mystery ship. Love the whole Orion story. Kind of inconsistent with Rutherford Boimler's story.
Yes.
Anything else?
I like Mariner got stabbed again and again and again in the same spot. That was like that. Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid. Steve Martin, 1982. Carl Reiner, when he kept getting shot in the same spot, he goes, "That's never gonna heal." And I was like, oh, I know where they got that bit from, but no one else remembers that That was 40 years ago. So
I remember the Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid.
Yes.
The movie, and
yes.
there was a movie theater right next to the pizza place that we had growing up, and my father made a deal with the movie theater guy that he could get free pizza if the kids could go see movies. And I remember seeing that movie like 9-10 times.
Yeah.
Because back then it would stay for like a month in the theaters, and I saw it like 10 times. That and the Olympic movie,
Chariots of Fire.
Chariots
Miracle.
of Fire. I saw that 37 times.
Jesus God.
Yeah.
Star Trek reference in Chariots of Fire. Elise Krieg, the original Borg Queen, is in that movie as a very young actress.
Ooh.
So we got that going
Did
for us.
not know that.
There you go. And not only Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid, but just that idea of getting stabbed in the same place and stuff. Very Rick and Morty. Very Rick and Morty.
Oh, was it?
In a good way. So yeah, I kind of like, and I'm always again I can't just my dislike for Mariner. Oh, good. Something bad happened to Mariner. Good. And she was funny about it. Oh man, not again. So I like that. Yeah, again, pretty good. Pretty good. Oh, Wayne is very active, man. I ask and he does it. 4 writers include really only that many? 5 writers?
Yeah, because what they're showing they're showing on IMDb, some people stopped at 2022 or 2021. And then so far, again, because we've only had so many episodes, they're only showing 4 people with writing credits.
Sometimes the writers get producer credits as well. And I don't mean to put you at work.
Yeah, no. And it does say if they're producers too.
Okay. Yeah, whatever. And I'm surprised that it is that small of a writer's room because I am and that was one of the studio gripes about the WGA, that they've got these fat writer staffs where it's a dozen writers sometimes for a show, at least, sometimes even more. But what are you going to do? I saw another subject. Frakes was quoted on comicbook.com, and his quote was that the 5th and final season of Discovery is going to be very Indiana Jones-like, and I know that because I knew that would make Mitch's eyebrows raise, because there's kind of an alien archaeological mystery that they're following. But further, Frakes said that, and I was really glad somebody from the organization said this, that they were going to lean more into action adventure and less emo themes like last season. And apparently that came from above Alex Kurtzman. So thank God there's somebody at Paramount going, all right, cut the trauma drama. This is an action adventure show. Can we please get back to that? And we'll see. We'll see what the results are.
It's kind of a little too late if you ask me, but sure, what the hell?
Show's canceled. Yeah. Another rumor that I heard was, and perhaps exacerbated by the writer's strike, completely rumor, but we don't know. But the guy's like, I got a great source inside, and it isn't one of those guys like Doomcock or some of these other guys that just hate for hate's sake.
Are you allowed to say that?
That's his name.
Doomcock.
That's the guy's name.
Yes.
But the rumor is that a different faction went to Paramount, not part of Alex Kurtzman, and produced a 5-minute proof of concept that is much more traditional Star Trek action oriented, and that the execs loved it, and that Kurtzman was very mad.
Explain that for
Sure.
Discovery or for
a new idea.
Okay.
Oh,
And
I thought you were talking about Discovery. Okay.
yes, and that currently let's take a step back with the live, well, even including Lower Decks. Strange New Worlds is in the past. Discovery's in the future. Lower Decks is, before Picard, but kind of in that same next gen Nemesis era, basically. And they're like, it's too confusing for new people to jump into Star Trek and go, well, what do I watch and when do I watch it and everything? But mostly because of the budgets, that they might be simplifying and focus on maybe only one or maybe 2 eras. I hope they focus on one. But even further, depending on when the actor strike is resolved, and again, this is a rumor, they're saying maybe they won't do a full third season of Strange New Worlds and only produce a TV movie to wrap up the storyline.
Wow.
Yeah.
You just reminded me. My buddy told me something that's not general knowledge, but Terry Metalis and what's the guy's name that played the new captain on the
Todd
Stashwick.
Yes. Where is it? I'm looking it up now. It was like, don't put it out yet, but apparently there's something brewing with those two, like a show coming soon, but they can't announce it until the strike's over.
Sure.
But I don't know how
a Trek show or something else.
Yeah, I'm looking it up now because he was at that Cincinnati. Was that guy there? That actor?
Stashwick?
No.
No.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out where I just got that from. But my
Just,
buddy
from Star Trek, it was just Brent Spiner and John
Delancey.
I gotta find it, but it's one of my buddies who does a lot of podcasts and stuff, and he heard about it. So I don't know where, but in the last couple of days, was there another show? Were they at like Rose City or something?
There was Rose City. That's where Jess Bush was, wasn't she?
Oh, yeah, maybe that's where I got it from.
Yeah, so my buddy Jared posted a picture with her. Yeah.
Yeah, somebody knows I liked her. I got an email about that there's talk, but I don't know how they bring that character back since he died, and you don't want to do another prequel.
Metalis has said in subsequent panels that they have a way of bringing Todd back. It would not be Captain Shaw, but that they both are like, yes, please. And further, I can't find the link now, but I read today that they are already talking about Star Trek Legacy and that they're going to upgrade the look of the Enterprise G, the former Titan. That and again, it doesn't surprise me. I'm glad that they're talking about that because I had heard that Metalis was going to produce a Disney Plus show and had made a deal with Disney prior to the strike happening. I don't know
what.
No specifics. I couldn't tell you. Just that he was, doing some sort of show running deal with Disney. Again, I could be wrong, but that is what I read. Go ahead, Wayne.
Okay, my conversations with Todd and Terry in Vegas said, yeah, they do have an idea on how to bring him back, and it's not going to be a problem. Like they really want to. They know how well loved this character was for this season, and they do have a way to, if not bring. Todd is going to be back in whatever form in Star Trek, but yeah, no. And they said, we just can't tell you how we're doing it, but it can be done.
I'm cool with that. I don't want them to spoil.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to look up that Frakes article, but that really surprised me that because, Frakes, especially is evidenced by the Gross episode and everything. It's like, if there's one guy that's like, hey, I love everything, it seems to be Frakes. So it's really amazing to hear him refer to Discovery as too emo and that it came from the executives and stuff. And it's like, wow, that's good. I'm glad somebody's talking that way.
They're not wrong.
Is Gray going to be back and all those characters, or they got written out?
Beats me.
I like to think that this high up executive has been watching us for the last 4 years, and he's like, all right, that's enough. I can't take these guys talking about this show anymore.
And I know you're teasing, but truly, it's like, no, it's not just us, and it's not just old people that say this. It's people that love Star Trek. Even Jessie Gender, who is so pro everything about New Trek, was down on the Snot episode of Very Short Treks. But even further, she's like, sometimes people are like, well, if you're so negative, don't watch it. And I know I've gotten that complaint, and I'm sure the rest of us have as well. And it's like, no, you don't get it. We love Star Trek. We want good Star Trek. That's all we're asking for. And again, you can make good Star Trek with Gray and I always forget what the non-binary Adira. Thank you, Wayne. Yes. I mean, you can do it. You got to give them something to do. You got to give them some beyond. And again, why would you create somebody that has a Trill symbiote but can't connect to their past lives? And it's like, well, you just cut any potential story. All those John Zia stories were, I remember, Audra doing this, or Tobin, or the serial killer that had the Dax symbiote and everything. It's like and again, one of her previous hosts was a Starfleet admiral, and it's like, well, I'm sure that person probably had some good strategy that you could tap into. No, better not. That's okay. I don't know. We'll see. So frustrating. So, Frank, have you had a chance to read more of the novels, the last
No,
three novels?
no, because I was traveling, but I did have a wonderful conversation with John Delancey and with Brent Spiner, which were a lot of fun. I told them that I watched them a lot on repeat when I draw, and that brought the conversation of what I do. But then I talked to John Delancey about his family and asked him if he had any little kids in his life and if he would like books. And he said, I would love them. And he said he's going to Japan because he's got grandkids in Japan.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's going to be taking him a bunch of my books. So that was a lot of fun. Yeah. And Brent made fun of me, which I didn't get at first because he was making fun of me. He asked my name and I said Franco, and he goes, "Oh, is that of Latin descent? Is it Hispanic or?" And I said, "No, it's Italian." I said I learned. My parents were fresh off the boat and I didn't speak English and I learned. He goes, "Well, where did you grow up?" And I said, "The Bronx." And I was born there and then grew up upstate. And he goes, "Yeah, I can't understand you because of your accent." And I looked at him for a second. I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Your accent, I can't understand." He was making fun of me, But then, yeah. But then we made fun of my name together. We were calling me Franco American and Franco Harris, all that. It was fun.
Nice.
Yeah. So I had a good few minutes with him. So it was
That's
good.
cool. That's cool.
And I got selfies, but I forgot to send them to you.
I saw you posted some.
Yeah, I saw them on Facebook, man. I saw a couple of them at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we'll have them on the IES show. That'll be great. I understand. I don't want to spoil, but I understand there's a lot of great stories from Cincinnati that we'll be hearing on the IES show.
Yeah, Wayne and I actually talked to some people about Trek because they were asking us about if they should watch Picard season 1 or 2, if they could just watch 3 because they heard that was good. And we told them, yeah, just watch 3. And we told him what he needed to know.
We summarized what you needed to know from 1 and 2 and go straight to 3.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But he was asking us about some other stuff too. Trek like Discovery and stuff. We're like, don't watch that. But did they watch it? But he didn't want to watch all this.
Did they do a panel? Spiner and Delancey?
I'm not sure.
I can't remember because the only panel I went to was the Paul Williams panel.
Yeah.
And the Jim Lee panel.
Yeah.
Ironic timing. They had Paul Williams, Gilbert Gottfried podcast. They reran it, and I wonder. I was really hoping you were going to go to the panel, Wayne, because I would love to know if Williams still sings like You and Me Against the World.
Yes, he does.
Because he claims that the reason why he sang that way was because he was doing so much coke that he was always congested, and that's why he sang that way.
Yeah, he did say that he's been recovering for 30 plus years, and he's really proud of it. But he says, yeah, there's a whole bunch of his life that he does not remember.
Mm.
But no, I found his panel it was interesting, especially like I was saying earlier. Before we started, that of all cities in the world, Winnipeg has held the torch for Phantom of the Paradise, and there's actually going to be a special retrospective for the 50th anniversary next year in Winnipeg. Of all places in the world, there's 2 places. It's Winnipeg and I think in London that he was talking about that for whatever reason, these 2 cities just love Phantom of the Paradise.
Road trip.
Yeah.
Road trip for me. Yeah, because I'm trying to find out more information about it. I think they had a 30th anniversary and all the cast was there in Winnipeg.
Wow.
So it's like the Rocky Horror Picture Show, but for Canada.
Yeah, it's a cult film.
In Cincinnati, I saw a little kid dressed up as excuse me, the Phantom, and I'm like, oh, that kid's dad did that to him. Like, there's no way that kid dressed up like that on purpose.
The guy who's the hero, and I forget his name, in the movie, Wayne. Wayne is our ombudsman that looks this stuff up. That he was in Voyager, and he is the guy who he's the Q that wants to die and is sick of being immortal. And Frakes actually in that episode because they have kind of a hearing and stuff, and all of a sudden Frakes is pulled out of the Alpha Quadrant to give testimony and stuff. But yeah, I like that actor a lot. He's a really good character actor, and that's a very early role for him. But yeah, it's the Faust story. If people don't know what we're talking about, the Phantom of Paradise, it's a rock opera, and I love it. I mean, it's not by any means a great movie, but it's a fun cult movie.
In my head, I always mash that and the Kiss.
Yeah, that's what I
Phantom of
thought
the
you were
Park
talking.
together.
Phantom of Paradise, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is worse, Kiss in the Phantom of Paradise or the Harlem Globetrotters on Gilligan's Island? I asked the panel.
Oh,
Globetrotters.
Globetrotters, yeah.
Really? William
Yeah.
Finley, thank you, Wayne. Very good, man. Absolutely. That's the guy he's the guy that makes the Faustian pact with the devil and is the Phantom in the better Paul Williams movie. I don't know who's in the Kiss movie. Although I know the Harlem Globetrotters on Gilligan's Island, it does get positive points because poor Martin Landau made that like before his resurgence in Tucker and Ed Wood and all those things. So you got Martin Landau at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, what else, guys? I don't want to keep you longer than necessary. I haven't caught up on Ahsoka. Man, but so many friends are just gushing about it. So that makes me good. I got a new part-time job with the American Library Association producing micro podcasts for them. And the woman that I'm working for is a massive Star Wars fan. And we were talking about how much we loved the Diego Luna show. Pardon me.
Andor.
Yeah.
Yeah. This seems to be
it's a good show.
A short one because everybody agreed this week. We didn't argue about it.
Well, that's what.
No, I was gonna say Ahsoka's really good, so that's why I was like, "Oh, great, 9:00. That's when Ahsoka's on
tonight.
It's on right now as we speak."
Right.
Because my
watched any of it. Yeah,
my nephew texts me all the time. He's like, "Did you watch? Did you watch?" I'm like, "Not now."
Sorry, man.
Yes, no, it's all right. It's all right.
Okay.
The only sad part is that Ray Stevenson, if there's a season 2, because I'll be honest, I'd love to know more about his backstory because Art and I got into a whole discussion. We tried to make sure we were not around Franco when we were doing this about Baylan and what his motives are. Because Artie and I we were just firing theories back and forth about Ahsoka and having some fun.
He says it on the show. He said he wants to end all wars.
No. We got it. But no, it was just, again, there's a whole bunch of other thing about his whole backstory.
Oh.
And
no, I've gotten so many spoilers online already. It's not even funny.
No.
Yeah.
No, because when you watch Star Wars, you're either going to have somebody for the Empire, or the new First Order, whoever, and then you're going to have the Rebels, and that's it usually. And then you can finally get a guy who's like, "Look, I don't give a shit about either one of you. Can we just stop all this now?" I'm like, whoa. There's like a pacifist, a Buddhist or something in the midst of all this Star Wars, And he doesn't want to fight with anybody.
He sees the endless circle of violence between the two sides.
Yeah.
And he's figured out another way. It's almost like in Rebels, there's a season where they introduce the creatures that are pure balance of the light and the dark side of the Force.
Yep.
They exude both sides and they can balance it within themselves. I think he's like that, but I'd love to know more about him. I'd love to have
There'll be a comic book or something maybe, but there ain't going to be
Baylan would be perfect.
Yeah.
I'm excited because beyond Star Trek and Star Wars, Quantum Leap is coming back in just a couple weeks on NBC. One of the few scripted shows that apparently they've made enough that they're going to come back. For All Mankind on Apple is coming back. I want either October or November. And then it's a spy show, but I've maybe mentioned it before. I know I have on Word Balloon. The excellent spy show that has a bit of a comic bent to it, Slow Horses, with Gary Oldman is coming back in December. And all of those are excellent shows. I'm really glad. And I'm curious what we're going to get as far as imports from other countries that are English speaking that the big networks might want to try out, because I know they did it in the previous strike back in 06 and 07. We got Canadian imports, we got British imports and things, and certainly Yellowstone is running on CBS, and I noticed they had 2 episodes on Sunday. I assume that's what they're doing, is 2 a week or whatever, and they've got several seasons of that to get through, and big cast.
If they adopt the model that Netflix has and even Amazon, they can still import stuff from Korea, from India, and just subtitle it, or, well, not subtitle, dub it, because there's some amazing shows
Yeah.
from these countries that I
hate anything with a subtitle because I usually watch here in the studio and
You
I
got
have to look up.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Well-
I sorry, but there are ones that are dubbed that are really good.
I was going to say, I just talked to an actor who wanted to come to Terrificon next year who told me he's about to get on a plane. I can't believe it's the Ukraine, but somewhere over there. And I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm filming a movie there. I said, I thought you can't. He goes, no. We could go work over there and they can't release the movie here until the strike is resolved or something. So I'm like, there might be a bunch of movies coming that you haven't even heard of that's been filmed and produced overseas that suddenly they're going to, Italian movies and other Canadian productions. I don't know, because there's a lot. These guys aren't just sitting home waiting for the phone to ring. They're out there hustling, trying to make a.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Frakes on his panel said, remember his reality show Beyond Belief? Apparently, much like Winnipeg being the home for Phantom of the Paradise, Germany loved Beyond Belief and still does. And he went there to do a new show. He also said he and Spiner are doing a reality show that's kind of a Make-A-Wish format, not for hardship children necessarily, but really just anybody like, hey, send us, your wish, and we might make an episode about it. But further, regarding what Wayne said about the dub shows, I don't know what the network's perception would be for a foreign language show that you dub in English. I agree with you, Wayne. I like watching them, and not French shows, Korean shows, the like. I saw a great show about the history of Spotify that was Swedish produced, and it was partially in regular English, but also partially when they do the Swedish portions, they would dub English and stuff. And it was fantastic. But yeah, I don't know if they would, I don't know. I don't know what the attitude would be for such a foreign product. But yeah, we'll see. And the other thing too, what you were saying, Mitch, there are exceptions where if it's a small production company, SAG actors can do it. And, you see, if you watch any major movie before they really get to the opening credits, and it's Skydance and it's Focus Features, and they're literally like Mandalay. They're like 4 or 5 production companies before you get to Warner Brothers or one of the other bigger studios. So I don't know if those, until they get a big studio partner, if those are allowed. It's going to, like you said, Mitch, it's going to be very interesting to see what shakes out and how quickly after everything is settled, and we'll see. I don't know.
I saw what's the big thing on Netflix now? It's based on an anime. It's got a weird name. A kid with a straw hat. One Piece. Yeah. And I started watching that. I never saw the anime, so I don't know what it's about. So I guess it's a huge thing. I mean,
huge. Yeah.
No, I mean
and the
this
manga.
character.
And the manga.
Yeah. This is like one of the, it's like Spider-Man or something. It's huge.
It is.
And unlike Cowboy Bebop,
Yeah.
People are loving this live action version. Man, I had every hope for the live action Cowboy Bebop because it is one of the few anime that I really, really loved. And it's just, it was flat. There was something missing. Just didn't have the buzz and the juice that the original anime did. But no, I'm hearing nothing but great things about One Piece.
So I got to get into that more.
It is a really, I'm not saying faithful, but a good adaptation of the anime. I've never read the manga, but I know people that have read the manga and have watched all the anime and just love One Piece. And they were telling me I should watch it, even though I had no experience with it. And I watched all the live action, and now I'm starting to watch the animation that's also on Netflix. Because there's several seasons. It tells it's an expansive story about the whole piracy aspect and how Luffy was how he becomes the Pirate King.
Spoilers.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Wayne's ruining everything today.
I know. I saw Barbie too. Did you guys all see that?
I haven't seen it.
Loved Barbie. Oh my gosh.
Barbie was cool. Yeah.
Barbie was so good. I know we're talking about it late, but go see it.
No.
I love it.
Well, they're touting the commercials. You can rent it digitally or buy it digitally?
Well, no, it just came out in IMAX again with a new scene. That's why I saw it. They just reissued it with like extra stuff, and
Sure.
it was packed. I mean, the theater. You think, oh, no one's going to see it. It's been out for months now. No, Sunday afternoon. It was raining out, but the whole theater was full of little kids, adults. I mean, it was.
There's an interview with Morgan Freeman somewhere. I forget what show he's on, where they're talking to him about Shawshank Redemption, and he was talking about how it didn't do well in the theaters. And just because he goes, they did some promotion for it and stuff like that. He goes, but promotion is bullshit because the only promotion that works, he says, is word of mouth, and that's exactly what happened with this movie. I saw a trailer for it, and I'm like, nah. Well, no, I knew I had heard the movie was going to come out, and I'm like, nah. I saw a trailer for it, and I'm like, actually, that looks actually halfway decent.
Sure.
I'll wait till it comes out. Man, the word of mouth of people that saw it, I'm like, I got to go see this thing.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad I did. It was just so good. I'm glad I saw it in theaters.
It's multi-generational. I'm sorry, Mitch, go ahead.
No, not to ruin anything, but it's in the trailer too. There's a takeoff of 2001 with the Dawn of Man and the monkeys smashing this thing. But I'm in a theater and they show these little girls playing with the dolls just like the monkeys had the bones. People don't know what in the hell that's I know what it's referring to. And I had to tell my wife what that was. She goes, what? I said, oh, it's 2001. She goes, what do you mean? I said, that's the fucking famous 2001 scene. When was that? Oh, 60 years ago. She goes, nobody here knows what the fuck you're talking about. I'm like, what? And she's like, it's a movie. People are enjoying it. Little kids are enjoying it. No one cares. It's based on a Stanley Kubrick opening. And I go, well but just trying to educate you. What?
However, I would point out that building on what you said, it's multi-generational. Grandma can take the granddaughter to Barbie and both love Barbie. So it really did what they all claim they want to do and make a movie for more than just kids. Yeah. And it was great that kids embraced it and did the thing with Barbenheimer and everything. And watched both.
I'm sure that pushed it as well, but I think it was just so well crafted, so well written. Visually, it looks great. It was just firing on all cylinders, which a film rarely does.
Couple comments from people. One is building on what we're talking about. Stuart says Kevin Smith got an exception and filmed his new movie this month. And then Stanley, and I actually have an answer to this, Stanley. A possibility of new Trek movies? Well, according to Giant Freaking Robot, Star Trek 4 has been saved, or they asked the question, from development limbo. And again, in that Frakes panel, he talked about how, because they're like, could any of the TV ideas get moved to films? And he said, no, Paramount and JJ are really pushing hard, and they still want 4 to happen. According to Collider, Star Trek 4 appears to still be in development at Paramount, despite some slowdowns and obstacles. At one point, the film was announced to be going into production in late 2022. However, that prognostication turned out to be premature, as eventually it lost both its writer and director to other projects. Lindsay Anderson Beer, good last name, who was writing the new installment of the franchise, left the film to write and direct the forthcoming prequel, Pet Sematary Bloodlines. However, it is Anderson Beer who has given the most recent indication that Star Trek 4 is still alive at Paramount, calling the project still on track in a recent interview. She expressed her love for the project and her enthusiasm for those involved, but did not indicate whether she would return to do further script work. Matt Shackman, who's been attached to direct Star Trek 4, also left the project because he's doing for Marvel the upcoming Fantastic Four movie. All this talk about Star Trek 4 is now, okay, this is not the first time, blah, blah, blah. I'm just trying to see if anything else. And again, this was what I was wondering would happen with Orville rather than coming back as a season. And especially after we talked to everybody at Terrificon and how they said that, Adrian Pilecki and Peter Macon were like, well, we've moved on to other things. And it's like, no, I get the commitment that doing a full season would do. But what about a 2-hour movie? I would think that would have less of a shooting schedule. It's fingers crossed, man. I would. It's
never
funny because and I know, Frankie, you're not an Orville guy, but on the one hand, it really did end in a perfect place if that's it for the seasons. But I wouldn't mind seeing at least one more story, because sometimes you guys know in comics how many times, hey, the creative team is back. That was so great a couple of years ago, and the second bite of the apple is not as sweet as the first bite. So I don't know.
Going back on the comment before that one about the Kevin Smith movie, Taylor Swift just got her movie made, her Eras Tour movie.
Yeah, the concert movie, right?
Because she met all of SAG-AFTRA's design demands, and they're like, okay.
Yeah. Well, that's a concert movie. I wouldn't see why that would violate.
Yeah, but
anything.
you're still she had to get permission to do it. Yep. Huh. But she met all their demands, and they're like, okay. See,
well, she's Taylor Swift. Yeah.
But she met their demands.
Will
unlike these movie mogul studio guys.
Will it be released by a major studio, or do we know?
Oh, it was released
No,
in the theaters already.
Her parents are, no, I don't think it's in theaters yet.
I
her
think
parents
it's this
are talking to AMC directly about.
Okay, well that kind of circumvents the studios.
That's because she's Taylor Swift.
Sure,
getting the movie made, she wouldn't have been able to do it without the unions. Yeah.
Well, and the theaters see the money she's making in her live shows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, why not? Why not? My God.
But we already had like a couple of weekends ago at the theater, you could see the Taylor Swift concert live. Is that the movie or?
No, the movie probably follows her around to all the cities and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it's.
Like Madonna.
Yeah, like the Madonna movie. Yeah. Oh.
Didn't Jackson, before he died, didn't Michael Jackson make a similar kind of movie that filmed his the
Victory Tour?
No. No, that was the Pepsi thing. Absolutely. No, I'm talking about like literally like they made a movie of his last concert tour, and it was released posthumously and everything. But I don't know. Or late aughts, like 08, 09, something like that.
Sounds familiar.
So, no. Well, there we go, everybody. Okay. And again, we have less to talk about when we all agree.
No, just don't watch very short treks. Especially this episode.
I'm gonna watch the next one too.
It's on tomorrow, right?
It can't be any worse.
I think it is. I think it is Wednesday, and
Wednesday, yeah.
And Wayne got both titles. So tomorrow it's Holograms All the Way Down, and then episode 5 is Walk Don't Run, which of course, man, you talk about 2001, Mitch. How about a 1964 Cary Grant Jim Hutton movie called?
Oh, is that where that's from?
That was shot at the Tokyo Olympics.
Oh,
there you go. Hello, everybody. I'm almost retired. I'm going to make this crappy romance comedy where Jim Hutton gets the girl, and then I'm leaving.
But he ends up with Diane Cannon, so that's okay.
He did.
Yeah, he did. His daughter Jennifer came from that union. Yeah, poor Cary Grant, man. He had a lot of. They always say in the biographies about him that he was kind of a hopeless romantic, and several marriages just didn't work. I'm actually listening to a great podcast called The Secret Life of Hollywood. It's a one-voice British narrated thing, and he's been doing this multi-part Cary Grant's life and career, and he's still in the 40s, and it's like literally already been like 12 hours long. And this guy is so detailed oriented, and of course, I'm a sucker for good old Hollywood stories. It's amazing. They just started a series about the history of Universal monster movies. And it started, it's really, really interesting. And it started with Laemmle creating Universal, and it went through the Lon Chaney Sr. era, and it teased at the very end Dracula. Because that
what's this on now?
It's called here. I'm going to look it up for you, man. Hang on. I know it's like The Secret Life of Hollywood, something like that. Hang on. Let me find it. Where is he? Hello, I'm British, and I'm talking about old Hollywood. Isn't this wonderful? I don't know. I'm gonna have to find it for you.
All right, that's fine.
But it's excellent. It really is excellent. So, very cool. All right, there we go. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll be back next week. I want to catch you guys before you head to New York. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and everybody live long and prosper. Take it easy.